welcome to Amy's Gardening Thoughts. I'm Amy Oldendorfer, the Hardin County Horticulture Agent in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Welcome to the show. I hate calling it a show, but I think that's what it's going to be. I just wanted to let you know that this is episode 7. It's June 5th, 2020, and today we're going to talk about fungi in the garden. We're going to have a tour of my backyard and see what's growing there. And I'm going to list some of the gardening knowledge that you might see out on the internet and kind of promote what we're doing. I hope you have a good time and enjoy the show.
Hi everybody, I just wanted to let you know that there's some things going on in the gardens this week. First of all, I'm going to show you some fungus that we have in our mulch. It happens a lot. We've been getting intermittent rains through the last couple of weeks. Actually, the last week we've had like 3 or 4 rains every day. But I wanted to show you what this looks like because you probably have it in your mulch too, and it's not a bad thing. But it's kind of interesting in that it changes colors. It does a lot of things for us. So let me show you what it looks like, and then we can kind of talk about it. Okay, this is what they call dog vomit fungus. It kind of can be kind of orangey, more orangey than this. This one looks like it's dried out a little bit or gotten wet. It's a slime mold. It does, it breaks down the organic matter, so it's not a bad thing to have in your garden or in your mulch. It will crawl over plants, but it really doesn't feed off of them. You can see, like right here, there's some white mycelium, and that's the fungus. But this is basically just 10% of the entire fungus that you'll see. Most of it is mycelium that's in the soil and in the ground. And if you look right over here, I'm gonna pan over, this is what happens when it dries out. So that's not a bad thing. But the trick with the slime molds is that you don't want to use water to disperse them. You want to make sure that you can rake this up if this bothers you, or in a couple of days it'll just disappear back into the mulch. It's not a bad thing. It's just unsightly. But don't use water because you'll spread it around, because it does need some free water to spread and to grow. This is what they call bird's cup fungi or bird's nest. See the little cups? That usually has a couple of little things that spew the spores out. And as you can see, our mulch has a bunch of these kind of things in it. It will actually, again, don't spray it with water because it will spread the fungus just that much more. But these are just the fruiting bodies. This is about 10% of the actual fungus, and it's breaking down the mulch. Totally normal. Now this fungus looks like it is was a toadstool at one point, and it's kind of fallen over. So in this bed of mulch, we've got a lot of different fungi growing, or actually just the fruiting bodies. Again, this looks like a bigger toadstool. This one's about 2 or 3 inches across for us. So hopefully those are breaking down the mulches. And here's some regular old toadstools. I'm not sure what variety these are, but they are definitely kind of a stalked fungi. They're kind of pretty. So you see our little forest of toadstools next to some bird's nest fungi. See the little cups? Those that back there in the back haven't really opened up for us yet to spread their spores and reproduce. Hi, this is the long-awaited showing of my backyard, or not so long-awaited. Hopefully I'll show you as much as I can in the minutes that I have left. Today it's the first week of June, towards the end of the first week of June, and we just had a huge amount of rain, so we'll see what we can have out. I will try to keep the dog barking to a minimum because I'm surrounded by dogs, and we'll just might pause and clip that out. So hopefully you enjoy the show. Okay, we're on my backyard patio. I've got a little tiny strip of land. It's maybe it's probably not 12 inches deep that I have around my patio. So I've got some zinnias and some love in the mist in the back there. I'm ready to fill that in. I think I'm going to put some sunflowers in there that I've got seeds for. This is Queen Anne's lace, and this is the variety called Dara, D-A-R-A. And as you can tell, it has purple flowers. I don't see any that are not. Here's one in the back. I'll show you that they're just huge. And this one back here, as they kind of come out kind of dark, and as they start to open up, they lighten up a little bit, but they still have that purple look to them. They're not as white as the regular Queen Anne's laces. So I'll show you over here, hopefully you won't get dizzy, that our regular Queen Anne's lace, which is not a native plant by any means, but usually they're white like this. So I will rogue this flower out here pretty soon, and because I don't want any whites to come back. This is a biennial. Ooh, look at this big purple one back here. So it does grow kind of like a carrot. Well, it's in the carrot family. Here's that dark purple, pretty. They do pretty well in a vase. Or as a cut flower. You do have to condition them a little bit to keep them from kind of falling over like that one is. But this is definitely not a native, but it's a pretty good one. We've got a series of flies today taking parts in that. As we come around the corner, I've got a lot of daylilies that people have given me in this little bed here with my bottle tree. Oops. I've got some columbine that's past bloom. I do have some hellebores right here in the front that are kind of done blooming. Well, one of them is. One of them's hanging in there since it's June. Here's our rain gauge. Can you see that? Looks like we had 3.5 inches of rain yesterday. These right here are Henry Eiler Rebeckias, so they haven't flowered yet. With my, oh gosh, my bird feeder right here. Got some weeds in the rows, but I have a big bed near around my shed, so I've got a lot of hostas on this side. Not sure what hosta this is, but if I find out the name, I'll put it in the show notes, or I'll put it on the screen. I've got 3 different columbines that are kind of petering out at this point. This little one over here was a black one, and I can't remember the name of it. And then this one turned out to have really huge pink flowers on it, and that one hasn't bloomed yet. This one is a ground clematis. Let me look at the tag. It's called New Love. So it's supposed to be putting on little, let's see, looks like little blue clematis-y tape flowers at the end. So hopefully that'll be one of those things that'll happen probably in the next year or so. Oh no, the rabbits ate my borage. So I've got these 2 plants, well, this one and that one got eaten to the ground. The other 2 looking pretty good, but they were kind of light yellow green and probably not that tasty. I do have a heated water dish that I have in the wintertime for animals to drink out of, but it becomes a bird bath during the summertime. I've also got some other hostas and a hydrangea that keeps coming back from the ground every year in this bed. This one gets a lot more sun, so I'm trying to put some more sunny type plants in it. So if you have some suggestions, let me know. As we come across the front of the shed, this tall plant is a volunteer goldenrod, and at the base it kind of hides the lily of the valley that I have growing. I do have some trillium growing in there next to my ostrich ferns. Here's some red cardinal flowers I didn't know they came in red, so I bought 3 of them when I saw them. This is hosta. This is called curly fries. I just bought him this year. And back behind there is a really new variegated Solomon seal. And then I've got, I believe that's Culver's root in the back growing. It should bloom this year. It blooms kind of later in the summertime for those bees. And that is bug loss, Siberian bug loss. I think that's Jack Frost back there in the back. Another cinnamon fern. And you can hear my birds and my squirrels. I do have Japanese forest grass, but he was really small when I bought him. So there he is. He's marked with a flag so I can find him. And that is caramel souffle. That's a heuchera. And really that heuchera has lasted like that all last year, all winter, and into the spring. I think it's put on new leaves, but it pretty much looks the same no matter what. I have a teeny tiny epimedium, which is one of my favorites if you remember from the other one. This one is rubrum, which is the pink variety. I'm hoping that it will be, oh, here's the label. So this is a rubrum. He'll survive pretty well that way. Farther back into the bed, that's wild ginger. And I think that's protecting our Virginia bluebells that came up, but did not bloom this year. So hopefully they'll bloom next year. Way back by the tree is Japanese painted fern. I think that one's called Ghost. He was very teeny tiny in the pot also, so hopefully he will grow and fill in that little spot there. This one is a variegated lily of the valley, which I hadn't seen before. So thank you, Pineview Nursery, for having that one in their stock. The violets have gotten a little bit out of control. So next to that one this is Epimedium sulphureum, which is a yellow. This one blooms really, really early, usually before the leaves come out. So I have to remember it's out here and getting some good pictures of those flowers they're really pretty and dainty. I just kind of have a big mulched bed at this point. That is Sum and Substance, a giant hosta. Hopefully it likes it underneath the trees here. I have one giant sweet gum tree that has had a lot of damage in it. You can see some hanging plants, or not plants. You can see some hanging branches in there. It does need to have a little bit of pruning done, especially this branch back here that's like almost touching the ground. I'm just going to take that branch off when I have some time. So I've got that's not sensitive fern. Yeah, that is sensitive fern back there in the back. And that hosta is Blue Angel, I believe. It got eaten by squirrels last fall when I got planted. So because it was so dry, they just ate the leaf right off. Could have been rabbits. I'm blaming the squirrels. That's Sum and Substance. And then this poor little pink flag marks one of the wild daffodils that I had this spring that I didn't realize I had. So it kind of came up and bloomed. It was very pretty. So it's marking that spot so that I can dig those up when those leaves kind of die back to the ground. That might happen this weekend. They look pretty good. This is the last of the beds in the back. This is a very new bed. I've got these bigger plants are perennial sunflowers, which I hope will block the street view from there. And then I've kind of planted some Tithonia, which is Mexican sunflower, Mexican sunflower. They're orange flowers, but they get about 6 feet tall. And then I've planted some just regular sunflowers in this bed too to kind of start it. I'm pretty much a lazy gardener, so I just collected some grass clippings. And as you can see, I've got a couple of different piles here to kill the grass. And then I just planted through that mulch. It does a pretty good job for us. As you can see, sometimes the grass tends to break through. And then I'll just kind of come back through and pull that as I need it. But it's an easy way to make a bed or to start a small bed. And you can get some really good results from that. I do have some weeds, like there's the dock, like right there. Dock is a problem in this corner. It gets really, really wet when it rains, and as you may have heard me slosh through some of the backyard, so we're gonna have to figure out how to take care of that. So this is pretty much the backyard garden. Well, I hope you enjoyed my backyard garden. It's a work in progress, as they all are, but it's also very young. It's only been about 2 or 3 years since I have started this garden. This will be the 3rd summer. I wish you happy gardening, and may you have all the rain that you need, but not too much. And I hope to see you next week. Bye now.